It's Rich here from the Rich Mix, and I'm really excited to have my good friend Clare Martin on board. Welcome, Claire.
How you going?
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on board. I really appreciate it. And we're going to have a casual chat, talk a little about yourself. And we've met nearly 5 years ago now, at the AppMac conference where you were speaking, which was a really awesome presentation that you did. And since then we've been friends and keeping in touch. So I thought it'd be great. That I really appreciate you coming on board. So I just want to say, so I'd love to tell me a little about yourself and tell me about where you started and what you're doing now. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So my
Quickly.
life has definitely been a journey.
Yeah.
I guess I'll preface everything by saying I've definitely been quite an intuitive person since I was younger.
Yeah.
And I always had this wild imagination. I remember vividly as a child having posters of Australia on my bedroom.
Yeah.
I had books about Cairns Barrier Reef and the Great Barrier Reef. I had a poster on my wall that said "I love Aussie men" on it. Pictures of surfers on it with surfboards, and I had a dream, I think since I was maybe 11 years old, to live
Yeah.
in Australia.
Yeah. Awesome.
I was one of those, misfortunate children that home with my neighbours. And being English, I was so fascinated by the Australian way.
Yeah.
I just thought I used to look at Australia and think, what a place to live. And
Yeah.
so from that age, I guess it was my quest to
Yeah.
always visit.
Yeah.
And as early as I could start working, I did. Left
Yeah.
school, and I actually left school and went into pensions and IT, which was incredibly not up my lane.
Yeah.
So I remember just sitting in a 9 to 5 office, which is interesting now looking back, just thinking, oh man, this is not the life I want.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
can't do this order. I can't do this rigidity. I don't want to be stuck in an office all my life. I don't want to be fulfilling someone else's dream. I remember finding it I felt very trapped being in
Yeah.
an office, and I was a tearaway. I was the
Yeah.
one in the office always causing trouble and chatting and sitting on
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
desks. And
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
that time I was designing tattoos on my computer screen at
Oh,
work
yeah.
during the day. So I was
And
doing
how,
little body art things.
and how old were you then?
I was 18.
18. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I was sort of would sit there, and I was very creative, and got into, at that point, something called airbrush body art, which was
Yeah.
very new,
Yeah.
and started to just, in amongst this job, travel around festivals
Yeah.
with my
Awesome.
VW split screen van,
Perfect.
doing airbrush body art at raves and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah,
that at
mate.
festivals. And
Yeah.
it really started an interest in body art for me.
Yeah.
And I started to do a course then in cosmetic tattooing. And so, yeah, I went on a tattooing course and learned cosmetic tattooing and little body art, tiny tattoos, I guess they would be called now.
Yeah.
That's really where it all started, my obsession with the body art,
Yeah.
and then the beauty industry.
Yeah.
And that really sort of grew for me. I then went to beauty school and trained as a beauty therapist,
Yeah.
and used to run my own business from even my little parents' house back then at
Yeah.
sort of
Awesome.
25 years of age. So
Yeah. Very cool.
yeah, going back to Australia, and amongst that, I sort of delayed a trip to Australia, but first came here when I was 28.
Yeah.
And I qualified in the beauty industry, and I left England to travel the world. I did, Peru, Thailand, the Inca Trek, all of the things, and I
Yeah.
love travel. And I landed here for the first time, and when I landed on Australian shores, I just felt like I was at home.
Yeah.
It was like I'd been here all my life, and I was like, I'm back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
it
finally.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, it started my love of Australia from there.
Yeah. And then, so since then, you started your own business doing cosmetic tattooing here and building up a big client base.
Well, I started actually, I first got a job here in a beauty salon. I thought I'd
Yeah.
get sponsored there.
Yeah.
And again, feeling into my intuition, I remember turning that key in the door of that little salon in Black Rock at the time.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this will be mine one day. I'm going to own this shop.
Yeah, yeah.
and I
Awesome.
felt a real connection to it.
Yeah,
And I did end up buying it. I
yeah,
bought it for $25,000, that
yeah. Awesome.
business.
Good deal.
Yeah, it was. She wanted a lot
Yeah,
more. She wanted a lot more, but I beat her down.
yeah,
I
yeah,
looked
yeah.
at the value, and I'd actually worked. I'd worked there for about a year at that point, and I'd really built the business up myself. So I had a lot of confidence in what I'd done, and I just said, "Look, I'm the value here. So
Yeah,
either
yeah,
you take the money, and or I go, I go
yeah, yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
else." So I bought that business, and then what a window into personal development is running your own business.
100%.
It's a real personal development on crack, I like to
Yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a real journey, and I spent 5 years building up that business and sold it for $250,000. So
Wow. Awesome achievement.
yeah, it was a real
Yeah,
journey.
yeah,
But in that time, I did more to cosmetic tattooing, and then I went out on my own and actually worked for myself again as a cosmetic tattooist over here.
yeah,
And it was only just starting to get popular here. That was 17, no, maybe 15 years ago now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, 16 years. So it was starting to get popular here, and I was so lucky. I entered the market at the right time, at the right
yeah,
place, and I got hectic busy,
yeah.
hectic.
Fantastic. No, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, it was a really prosperous, but it was also a big learning curve for me. It
Yeah,
was huge,
yeah,
and I actually suffered with huge burnout.
yeah,
I was doing a lot of things back then that now in the pattern of life, I've just sort of learned from, and I really struggled actually. I ended up getting terrible adrenal fatigue, um, really, really unhealthy attachment to my work,
yeah. Were you putting just too much pressure on yourself or doing too many hours and just taking
everything.
on everything? Just going,
Yeah,
I'll book
everything.
it in. Yeah,
Yeah, I was definitely a perfectionist. I was addicted to work. I
yeah,
was probably burying a lot of, I guess, like things, emotional things in my job. Um, and that led to another catalytic moment in my life of actually having a complete, just really having a massive burnout, suffering panic attacks, and
yeah,
really actually struggling at the time of APMAC. I was right in the middle of that, I think,
yeah,
in the epicenter of that moment.
yeah,
And that started a whole new path for me. I was getting very curious about mindset at that time. At Mac, I was doing a talk on how important mindset was. I was learning a lot about mindset in work and business,
yeah,
and I could start to see that it wasn't really all about strategy. My talk at Mac was called Mindset Alignment and Structure, and that was
yeah,
like the blueprint that I went to do the
yeah, yeah,
talk on.
yeah.
And I started taking a massive interest in personal development, and
Mm.
hence that transformed me into another era of my life, which has lasted the last 8 years.
Yeah,
Has been becoming a transformation coach, mindset coach, and breathwork facilitator. So
yeah. That's
it's just
amazing.
like
I
so,
know. So, but you know what? You've literally taken that journey to get to where you are now, and those, trials and tribulations of up and down, but you managed to be able to see that light and where you really want to be and what you really want to do. So,
yeah,
so the business is the coach. It's called the Abundant Soul.
it
Yeah,
is. Yes,
yeah.
it is.
So, can you share a little bit of the pivotal moments that led you to establish the Abundant Soul and the focus on helping heart-led type leaders and purpose seekers within that?
Absolutely. Well, the first turning point was definitely the breakdown of my own life. I
Yeah,
think a lot of people, I say your message, your message.
yeah,
And for me, I had realized that I guess like I had many wounds within myself that were playing out in my work,
mhm,
my addiction to work and perfectionism, burnout, hyper overachiever, all of the
yeah,
things. I was great at what I did.
yeah,
I did everything to the nth degree. I was really in my masculine energy in my job. I was a producer. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't stop working. If you
yeah,
asked me to sit down and watch a movie, it was impossible. I couldn't relax. I
yeah,
didn't know how to switch off. I was very, very highly strung. Um, and that actually led to the demise of my marriage at the time. I
yeah,
think it contributed hugely to that. So that fell apart. Then I fell apart.
mm,
My business fell apart with COVID.
yeah,
And that was a real awakening. And then I just went deep. I actually studied consciousness coaching at that stage. I was getting a little bit more, I guess, like I was trying to understand. I was probably at that place in my life, which I say is where I was just going, who am I?
yeah. And
I
what did you see there about consciousness training? Was there like something came up on Facebook or something you searched for? or there must have been a trigger to go, I want to look into that. What was it?
I was actually in a studio apartment that I'd moved into to just create some space between me and my ex-husband and help us to sort of start going our separate ways.
Yeah.
And I remember logging onto my laptop and seeing this course come up out of nowhere. I think, honestly, do you know what? I was Googling, how do you know when you're not in love in your marriage anymore? And how do you know when your marriage is over? That's what I was Googling. And I remember thinking, how do I know? How do I find out who I am? And how do I find out what I'm about? Who am I? And I was asking Google these questions. That's the kind of place I was in.
I've done
being
that.
totally vulnerable. And this course came out of nowhere with this woman, Erica, her name was, and it was the opportunity to train for a year in consciousness coaching, which was all about understanding your shadow work, inner child, how your childhood imprints into your adulthood, understanding different modes of love, relationships, understanding how to build relationships, understanding how to communicate. And it had a spiritual side, but it was like practical spirituality, I would say. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was like, this is brilliant. I had this just cracked open on this course. I went deep into my childhood. I went deep into all the imprints in my life. And I just had this in COVID. I was like, and I just had such a moment of, wow, this work is amazing. Like, people need to know about this stuff and how the mind operates and how we get in our own way, how we block ourselves from joy, how we sabotage and procrastinate. And this thing came out of nowhere. It just appeared at the right time. She appeared at the right time. And I began as a coach. I began teaching consciousness coaching and ran my first group program during COVID, just during the second or third year of that. It was brilliant. I loved it.
No, that's awesome. And so one of the biggest things is, like, obviously overcoming fear as well, and you mentioned helping clients. What are the common fears that you encounter amongst your clients? And what strategies do you employ to help them overcome these obstacles? Is there any particular strategy you have to use to help them?
Look, there's normally I find people have common things in common when they're sabotaging or blocking their success. And mostly it's themselves. It's really just down to who they are and their wiring. So we generally have 3 levels of blocks that we need to work through. So that's what we call conflicting values. So it's like you're living in one existence, but you want something else. So you're saying, I'm doing this, but I want that. I'm here, but this gets in the way. I want to do this in my business, but I can't because of that. Maybe that's time. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's fear of judgment. Maybe there's a particular block, and you're in this conflicted existence where you want something else, but you just can't break through that conflict. It's the excuse, I guess, or the reason why you can't break through that. And that polarizes a lot of people. I find that's one of the first stop signs, is people creating these conflicts. It's like causes this polarization within them. Breaking, they don't know how to break through those barriers. How do we get through the barrier of judgment, of being seen, of feeling worthy of wealth, feeling worthy of abundance, of trusting yourself, of taking risks, all of these different conflicts that come up with people in business, particularly. It's definitely down to self-belief, really comes down to that. And then the second one is your trapped emotions. So this can be things like from your childhood, maybe, that have kept repeating through your life. It could be perfectionism or fear of judgment or shame or guilt. Or control, even, people have control issues and they find that they can't break free of their control and surrender to more, just following their flow. So that, when I look at trapped emotions in the body and stuck energy in the body, which is where the breathwork side comes in, balancing the nervous system, getting that on board. If your subconscious and your nervous system isn't in line with your conscious thought, you're going to block his, again, sabotage, procrastinate. Keep learning, keep doing all the things that just stop you from moving forward. And the third one is limiting beliefs, just having beliefs that hold you back. And we've got limiting beliefs with everything, mostly 100%. With abundance and wealth. Some people have so many wealth imprints that they struggle to move through. A worthiness, the ability to receive is huge. So some people just don't believe that they're capable of receiving, and that can then imprinted to money, love, relationships,
Yeah,
career,
yeah.
all
It's
sorts of
it's
stuff.
definitely embedded in them, and you see
Ugh,
it, and especially now with, on social media and all this kind of stuff, they compare themselves to other people, or they end up becoming hardcore like people pleasers and not focusing on themselves,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
wondering why things are not happening. And
yeah,
they're like a fake version of themselves, not the real
yeah,
people doing certain things. And I'm like, they need a complete reset to start
yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And then with these, these coping mechanisms or roles that people play, that they move into, say the people pleaser, their coping mechanism or their stress response is fawning. So we've got fight, flight, fawn, or freeze.
yeah,
And these aren't just like apparent in our daily life, they're apparent in our business,
yeah,
and we
yeah,
see fight, flight, fawn, and freeze in our business and our
yeah,
approach to
yeah,
business. If
yeah,
we're really frightened of being judged, we might just completely shut down and not do anything and be
yeah,
stuck in this very stagnant position where we're not moving forward. Or we could run away and avoid our problems, or we might people please everyone and drop our prices and not be strict on our booking policies and
yeah,
all these types of things. So it's literally the core of your business is you,
yeah,
and however you see yourself and however you perceive yourself will be absolutely evident in your life and your career for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. No, 100%. And one of the other things is like conflict is another big thing. I know empowering people is another thing
Mm,
you talk about, and obviously breathwork, which you just mentioned. I've touched a little bit on breathwork, but I've been on seminars and they've, we had to do some breathing exercises, and it kind of blew me away how
yes.
how important it is. And so I know when I get a little bit stressed or worked up or something, I can just sit there and breathe, and all of a sudden it's like gone. It's like
Yeah,
it's a quick little mini reset.
it is.
And
Yeah.
and it could be just sitting in the car. You can be anywhere, and you can just do it, even in the morning when you wake up, just to give you that burst of energy. Um,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I find it even better than a cold shower.
Yeah. It is, and it's kind of like the same thing. So it's like a cold plunge, and you can think of it like that because with different breath patterns, you're taking the body into the stress response, which is like
Yeah,
getting into the ice bath,
yeah,
and then you're taking yourself from that stress response with that really active breath into restorative breathing, which is like when you get into the bath and you're regulating your nervous system and saying, I know I'm in this, I feel like I'm in this danger, I'm perceiving I'm in danger, but
yeah,
if I can manage my breath and regulate myself, I can actually be in this position, in this uncomfortable place,
yeah,
and
yeah,
be regulated.
yeah,
And that's why it's so powerful to build your risk tolerance. So,
yeah,
breathwork is amazing to learn to cope in stressful situations and manage highly anxious or situations where you may be thrown into a lot of dysregulation,
yeah,
to
yeah,
then self-regulate and bring yourself back to center and make very smart decisions. Because when we're dysregulated, we make survival decisions.
yeah,
When we're
yeah,
regulated, we make thriving decisions. We
yeah,
make really smart, intelligent decisions in our lives. And so I love breathwork. I did one just before we came online,
yeah,
and I use one every day. I have a
yeah,
practice that I follow, and I
yeah,
teach other people. But you can do it in small doses, and it's
yeah,
so impactful. It
yeah,
will supercharge your intuition. It will regulate your hormones, it will regulate your nervous system, it will improve your health, it will
yeah,
improve your vitality and life force, it clears your mind, puts you into alpha brainwave
yeah,
state, which is where you're open to your intuition and creativity. It's got endless benefits. I
yeah,
don't know why
yeah.
people just don't
Don't
do
just don't
it.
do it. Yeah, yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah, yeah,
It's free.
fantastic. And do you actually offer courses like online or face-to-face classes or
Yeah,
yeah,
both. I do
yeah,
one-to-one.
yep,
I do one-to-one online and one-to-one face-to-face. I
yep,
do group breathwork classes, and yeah, and I now instill breathwork into all of my coaching programs because
yeah,
it is gold. It's
yeah,
like such a beautiful thing to teach people in
yeah.
business, and in happiness. So
And
yeah,
it's so
it's now
impactful
become one.
to them
Yeah,
as well, it makes such
yeah,
a quick difference in just a little something so simple.
yeah. It really does. It just
Yeah,
up levels people in every way. So it's become part of my suite of tools now that I definitely use.
yeah, yeah. No, awesome. So with you, tell me a little bit about your new programs and obviously building your own community of fans through what you're offering and what you're doing. Yeah, give us a little bit of an insight on your new programs or something you've just done recently that you're probably redoing again.
Yeah. Absolutely. So my next program is really going to be, I guess, like it's my real, I would say it's the culmination of all of my passions and what I found the most transformative tools in the last 8 years, where I've been, I did consciousness coaching, and I also did results coaching, which is about rewiring and using neuroscience and neuroplasticity to rewire thoughts and things. So
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I'm bringing that all together in actually a year's mentoring.
Yeah.
And this is for initiated, purpose-led women and men.
Yeah.
And it's basically going to be called the Aligned Leader Collaborative.
Yeah.
So it's different in that the core foundation of this program is not strategy. It's about removing your blocks. It's about getting out of your own way. It's about understanding those imprints from your past and how they're affecting your adulthood and getting in the way of your progress in life. It's about tapping into energetics. So I do a lot of energetics work, which is very revolutionary, but it's really about using that work to really remove blocks and what I call future pacing, which is really putting yourself in the future version of yourself and setting your body and nervous system up to think, feel, and be like that now. So that we're actually moving and operating in a way that we would if we were living our ultimate life. And by doing this and by then removing all the blocks along the way, tapping into energy, understanding masculine and feminine, accessing different flow states in brain waves, it's going to be all very much these tools that I feel like are superpowers. It's going to be about really leaning into and learning your intuition, following intuitive downloads, activating ideas, making aligned action, breaking down goals into tiny little things so you take the steps. So there's all these elements to it that I believe build up the complete energetics and mindset and inner work. I call it the inner world wealth revolution. So it's something that I've sort of, the suite of ideas I'm putting together are called the inner world wealth. And it's about cultivating a lifestyle that means you won't end up like I did. You won't end up burnt out, divorced, freaking out when things are out of control, losing your regulated body, being in high stress with cortisol problems, with hormone imbalances, with aggressive relationships. And it honestly spills out into every pillar of your life. So the aligned leader is about building a leader who is aligned in all pillars of their life. It has a focus on following your purpose and following your heart-led mission. So it's like coming out of the mind and into your mission. And it's definitely for people who say are in different places within that journey. So maybe you're in a full-time employment and you want to start something yourself. You want to move into entrepreneurship, or you might be in business and you're just hitting blocks and you can't move forward.
And it's really being a 12-month program, I think it's fantastic, because it's not like something they just do and they get back on their life and they forget. It's going to embed through over that long period of time, and learning different skill sets to deal with themselves. Because I know what you're saying, like you could be a business leader, entrepreneur, and you're really good and focused on that. But then what's letting you down is this other side of you that's stopping you,
100%.
And if you work on that, oh my God, the world is your oyster. You can take over, do whatever you want, I think it's fantastic.
So it is. Yes, and you're so right. Like, I think once you do that inner work, it's everything. You can't implement the strategy if you don't have the beliefs within you to do it. Like, you've got to have the drive behind you and the motivation and the belief in yourself that you will overcome. And the strategy is going to require you to move into uncomfortable places. That might be being more online, being more visible, asking for more, being a good leader of your staff, being able to communicate well, being able to stay strong in your boundaries. Like, if you don't have the ability to do that within you, your strategy just goes out the window. And I know that you teach mindset, so I know you appreciate all of this. And I found that from my experience, 3 months to 3 months plus, or 8 weeks plus, is like gold. To do, you can learn in a short period of time, but to know and not do is to not know at all. That's my motto. So you can know something, but if you're not doing it, you may as well not know it. Because you're not integrating and you're not embodying the leader that you need to be. You're not moving into that embodied version of the person that you're required to be in, that future version of yourself. And if you're not embodied in that, well, you're never going to be it. That's it. It's plain and simple. So yeah, this is going to be, I've never done a year before.
Yeah,
That
it sounds really cool. And they get to meet
yeah,
like-minded people as well, in that group.
absolutely.
So that's something really cool, about that community
Yeah.
building, people with those same issues and visions, and saying they want to have the same outcome as well, and they want to
Yeah,
support each other, which is really
totally.
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be like a lovely little community. And I think when you start to build a community and you speak openly about, what's getting in your way, and then someone else will go, oh my God, me too, me too. And
Mm.
you hear all these people come forward with similar blocks, and
Yeah,
suddenly you don't feel so alone anymore,
yeah,
because entrepreneurship is lonely.
it is. Yeah, yeah,
It's so
it's tough.
lonely as.
And as you get
And
older, your circles get tinier and tinier and tinier. I notice with me, it's very small.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
have you have you ever had any students that have like, no matter what you say, they just do not believe it. They just do not want to go follow the program?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. There's definitely people that, they generally tend to be the ones that won't sign up at the start anyway. I find
yeah,
that they leave fairly soon, and they exit and find a reason why they can't fairly on in the program, or early on in even just maybe the application process. They're exiting themselves before they're
yeah.
even in it. Um, yeah, very, very occasionally. There's always, I would say, in any group coaching program, there's going to be 5% plus that are just gonna fade away into the
Disappear. Yeah,
into the
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm my ego's okay with that. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm cool with it. Like, if you're not ready, you're not ready.
yeah,
And there's stages of change for everyone. And
yeah,
sometimes people were not ready to really lean in. It's confronting. It's
yeah,
not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for people that just feel like they might want to have a go at it for a couple of days. It's just about changing your life.
yeah,
And if you're serious about changing your life and you want the most fulfilling life you can have, then
yeah,
the people that really want that, they're there. They're all
yeah,
in and they're going for it. But there's, of course, humans are humans. And unfortunately, we're kind of wired for comfort.
yeah,
And there is a bit of a comfort crisis going on at the moment, where everything's handed to us on a plate.
yeah,
And I think you just have to wish everyone well and hope that everyone stays. But I've been in groups as well with amazing mentors and leaders, and we
yeah,
start off at 50 people, and then at the end there's 20.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it happens
yeah,
everywhere, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay
yeah,
with people doing what they need when they're
yeah,
ready,
yeah.
and I'm also okay giving my energy to the people that really want it,
Need it.
and
Yeah.
making sure that I'm focused on them.
No, it's awesome. And I think we are at that age now. If you look at the stuff that's on TV or whatever's, everything's all about transformation. It's all about living longer, being
Yes.
healthier. And it's always being healthier. Stop eating this, eat this. But it's what we put into our brain as well is so important that you're doing, that's going
Yeah.
to help them change that the pivot into a different mindset that's going to help them
Yes.
carry on with all the other stuff. No point being healthy if your head is somewhere else.
No,
Uh,
no. And then, even health is, could be an addiction for some people. People can be
yeah,
addicted to the gym, or addicted to eating certain things, or
yeah,
be having binges or whatever.
yeah.
And it's
Mine is ice
still,
cream. Ice cream. They bring it on.
mine's jelly snakes.
Okay, and frogs, red frogs.
So, but yeah, you're so right. And even you can even be doing all of the things. Like, I was a very successful businesswoman, but it came from a place of self-loathing. It didn't
Yeah,
come an ego. It
yeah,
wasn't coming from soul and love and joy and
yeah,
fulfillment. It was being driven by a part of me initially that was unhappy and
mm,
couldn't get satiated. It's like I was always hungry for more. Like, give me
yeah,
more. Reach that goal. What's the next one? Reach that goal. On to the next.
yeah,
And now I'm just like, I just want to enjoy the process. I'm not in this big hurry anymore with life. It's like
mm,
I'm here to enjoy the process of what I'm creating.
yeah,
And I think that's the amazing thing you'll know about being a creator, is that we can enjoy the daily process of it. And that should be as rewarding as the end. It should
yeah,
be, if not more so, it should be your daily joy that you're bringing in, that you
yeah,
can balance and love,
yeah,
rather than just going, I won't be happy until, destination happiness,
yeah,
where we just keep going, and then I'll be happy. That whole,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
hard. You got to be happy right now, and there will be obstacles. I know with myself, I've had a lot of things that have been held me back over the years,
yeah,
and my dad passing away and my
mm,
sister passing away really hit hard, and really hit
yeah,
hard, and thinking that every second of the day, you should be so grateful. And you know
Yes,
what I mean? We wake up in the morning like, and we whinge that, oh, it's raining. Who cares? We're alive, you know?
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, and
and
it's sad that we have to go through those unfortunate moments like you
yeah,
have been, and you know, and have those what I call it, the pebble, the rock, and the brick. You know,
yeah,
when the brick comes, that's normally when people go, "Oh shit, I want my life to be different."
yeah,
And you know, you don't want to be getting to the brick. That you don't. We don't need to get there before we go, I need my life to be different because this is
yeah,
unhappy, or I'm not living a fulfilled, happy, grateful life.
yeah,
It's available to you today. You
yeah,
can access it now.
yeah.
You
That's
don't
it
have to
right
wait.
now. I know.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's sad that we have to go through those moments of great loss or grieving or health, you know,
Mm,
issues, to then realize that life's there for the taking.
yeah,
That we really just been holding ourselves prisoner the whole time.
yeah. No, 100%. And what are your future aspirations now? I know you've been working on this new
Oh,
program. What else for yourself? What's Claire
yeah,
Martin up to?
I love travel. That's still one of my highest
Yeah,
values, and I love music,
yeah,
and I
cool.
love immersive events. So
Yeah,
I've actually been playing with at the moment, just working with my breathwork and immersive experiences. So we just did one with my partner. Actually, he's a photographer and videographer. We went to the Salt Lake out at Sea Lake, the
oh,
Pink Salt
awesome.
Lake,
Yeah, yeah,
and we did body and breath, which was all about having really powerful photographs of yourself in a really unique location.
yeah.
And we did sunrise and sunset breathwork in the middle of a salt lake, in the middle of nowhere.
Wow, that is
And it
so
was
cool.
epic. And that was
Yeah,
just an idea. And we just went, let's go do it. Let's
yeah,
go
yeah, yeah,
play. And it was so successful. We had so much fun.
yeah,
So I loved that. That's inspired a lot in me. And I have dreams of one of my dreams is to be more flexible in my work, so,
mhm,
hence working online. I do that
yeah,
because my other joy is to move. I'm a gypsy soul.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'd love to see more of Australia, have the freedom within my work. That's a big
yeah,
value for me, to have time freedom as well. So it's to go travel, go see more of Oz. I'd love to go off in a luxe camper van and
yeah, yeah. I
just,
was gonna say, get the
yeah,
motorhome and cruise around and get another combi again and get back
yes.
in.
That's it. It's just what brings me joy. And so yeah, that's one of my big dreams. I'm not like, you know, I don't dream of a big house and
Yeah,
expensive car. That's my thing's about experiences. That's what
yeah,
I love to spend my money on. And my rocking chair moment, I want to look back and go, I saw some crazy shit and I did some cool things. And
yeah,
that's the most important thing for me. So yeah, that will be
yeah,
what I'll be filling my time with going forward,
yeah.
amongst my
Fantastic.
coaching.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's it. Sounds awesome. Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
Um, Now, just a quick thought. Is there anything like that you do, like your personal practices that you do in a day that help you in the morning when you wake up and you go, okay, I have to do this? Do you have like your own little morning routine that you do and a nighttime routine?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you want
So
to share that with us, that'd be awesome.
sure. Well, like anyone, I love to move my body. So
Yeah,
I go to the gym 4 days a week, always. So I wake up, go to the gym. I always take my dog for a walk. I love walking. Walking is
yeah,
like meditation for me, it clears my mind. I'll normally spend during my walk 15 minutes doing breath work.
yeah,
And I have a little ritual. It's like a future visualization that I take myself through. I speak into my existence what I want and how I want to feel, the feelings I want to experience. I
yeah,
also do something called transcendental meditation in the morning, which is just sitting in silence, really focusing inward and seeing if anything comes through. Like maybe I'm feeling a bit stuck with something or a bit blocked, or I'm having, you know, some challenges that I want to work through. It doesn't go away.
yeah,
It's you know, we just learn to manage them differently. So I give myself time to sit with my feelings,
yeah,
to sit with how I am. Is my energy level good? Is there anything I need to be mindful of in my day? What do I want to go into my day feeling and thinking? And then I do some tapping, and then I find that really resets me. So
yeah,
just going through that sequence, and it varies, it changes from day to
yeah,
day. Some days I'll
yeah,
do a longer transcendental meditation where I'm really in my body and I
yeah,
create an energy ball and I really
yeah,
fire
yeah,
up my own energy. And
yeah,
then other days I'll do lots of tapping and move my emotions through and just feel my feelings. Maybe I'm feeling frustrated or angry or sad or,
yeah,
you know, anything. And I just move through it rather than just getting on with my day, pushing it all back, not
yeah,
paying
yeah,
attention to what I need. And I have a rule. I don't start work before 10. I just
yeah,
don't.
yeah. Yeah.
No way.
Oh, that's sweet.
So it doesn't happen very rarely. Only if I'm
Yeah.
doing an event would I start before 10.
Yeah.
So they're my non-negotiables. At night, it's really trying to get to bed at a decent time,
Yeah.
not having my phone, not looking through my phone at night. I
So easy to
definitely don't
scroll.
wake up and look at my phone. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have the news. I don't watch the TV.
Yeah.
Really, I never watch the news. I'm just mindful of all different energy leaks in my life, be it
Yeah.
people, places, your environment, your job. I don't entertain in like gossip and negative
Yeah.
energy. I just don't need it. So
Yeah.
they're my little non-negotiables that
Yeah.
I do.
Fantastic. And what advice would you have for our listeners? Any little things that could help someone listening on now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're listening now and you're you're really wanting to move forward in your life,
Mm.
just the best thing that you can do for yourself is get curious about yourself.
Hmm.
Get curious. So if you're triggered, if you're finding you're angry about something, if there's something that's really bothering you, try and sit with it and ask yourself, what is that and where does it come from, and
Yeah.
how is it holding me back?
Yeah.
That could be your relationship, it could be work, it could be
Yeah.
yourself, right? That you're
Yeah.
finding you're feeling angry or sad, and dive a little deeper into you. Everything is within you. Every
Yeah.
answer is there. Seek help if you need it. Find someone to talk to,
Yeah.
but get curious about why you behave the way you behave. I think that's the biggest thing for me that started me on my journey, was really wanting to know who I was
Hmm.
and getting curious about, what does Claire want from her life? How does she want to be when she leaves here and I'm
Yeah.
no longer earthside? What kind of life do I want to look back on? And I get
Well,
familiar with you.
yeah. No, no, awesome. Oh, that's fantastic advice. And it's so refreshing talking to you as well. It's really good.
Thank
Um,
you.
so big year ahead. So yeah, it's exciting times. And for anyone listening, there will be a link on the bottom of this to link on to Claire's socials, so you can have a chat with her. And if I were you, I'd be booking onto 12-month program, because I think that's the best way to go for sure.
Yeah,
And I'm
amazing. Yeah,
sure, and I think what I'd love you to, like, we do a bit more regular podcast with you again, Claire, talking about probably key things that we might
absolutely.
might put something together. And yeah, I think it'd be awesome. I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my jam. I talk all day about it.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming on. I really
Welcome.
appreciate it. It's been really insightful. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of takeaways here for a lot of people listening in, that they can go, okay, I can take this on board and really start now. Like, don't wait till tomorrow. Just
Yeah,
like
start today.
start day. Yeah, right now.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for your
So
time, Rich. I really
no,
appreciate you having me here
no,
as
no,
well.
no worries at all.